America's future is not buying what the Army was selling. That was one of the most recent recruitment ads, but the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard will all miss their recruiting targets this year. The Army's at 40% and has had to cut its size by 12,000 soldiers because it can't meet its recruiting goals. Part of the problem is that less than a quarter of Americans aged 17 to 24 can serve without a waiver. Some are too fat, others have criminal records or past drug use, haven't graduated high school, the list goes on. Whatever the reasons, as China and others expand their military, we're getting left with fewer Americans able and even fewer willing to serve. Catherine Kaczynski is a senior fellow and director of the Military Veterans Society program at the Center for New American Security, joins us now. How much of this is economic? In that now there's just a lot of high-paying jobs, and how much of it's cultural that the military in America in a way has been demonized?
I think there's a few issues at play. Certainly we see that when there's a strong market for labor or labor shortages, there's certainly competition with military service. But I think there's some additional challenges. Certainly the last couple of years with COVID has made it difficult for recruiters to make it into high schools or onto college campuses where they do a lot of recruiting in person. And also the withdrawal from Afghanistan, some of the ways that the military is portrayed in the media also makes it a little difficult for the overall recruiting message for the services.
A perfect storm, if you will. COVID, a good economy, and then obviously the debacle in Afghanistan. You think about why people don't qualify. Less than a quarter of America's youth does. Obesity, drug use, criminal records, medical, physical problems, behavioral conditions, lack of a high school diploma. Do we then go back to the time where kids who got into mischief get a choice between jail and the Marines?
I think the military services are trying to stay away from that. One of the real advantages that we've had in the advent of the all-volunteer force for the last 49 years is that we've moved towards a more professionalized military. But the services also use waivers as a lever to increase recruitment. So for example, during the 2007 to 2010 timeframe, we saw a huge increase in the number of waivers being used for military service so that we could meet our manpower demands. On the flip side, we did see some negative externalities in some behavioral issues later down the road associated with those waivers.
Well, so it comes at a price. I'm thinking how they're trying to get people in Army bonuses, $10,000 to $50,000. Active Army enlistment, quick ship, meaning that you head to boot camp right away. Army Reserve enlistment, civilian acquired skills, being able to try to get people after they leave the Army to be able to make more money in the workplace. We do have an all-volunteer force. It's one of the great parts about America, have for now 49 years. At some point, though, China's army is getting bigger. We can't recruit enough folks. Do we get to the point where there's a discussion again about a draft?
I think we're a long way off from the discussion of the draft. If we look at some of the elements of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, across some metrics, we could say that the force was really straining under the stress of those deployments. And even then, we didn't necessarily turn to the draft. Thinking about the technological advances and the leadership capabilities that will be required to succeed in a conflict against a Russia or a China makes the presence of the standards all the more important. However, it does require us to do some really deep thinking about the levers that we want to move in building the capacity that we need for future recruitment.
How much of this is cultural, from the military going more woke and becoming more socially conscious versus warfighting conscious? On the other hand, you've got Top Gun now as one of the top grossing movies in history. In this sort of boldly patriotic movie doing really well. What are the cultural kind of levers that can be pulled on this?
Yeah, I think making sure that potential recruits are aware of the unique mission that the military services offer and the real national security contribution that individuals make. I think there's the popularity of Gun Maverick is really showing that there is some real sense that the military does something that's unique that can't be replicated in the regular labor market. But there's certainly some challenges to overcome as well when we think about the way that storylines have covered PTSD in movies and TV that works against it. So the influence can go both ways.
All right. Hey, Catherine, this was a great conversation, an important one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.